Good afternoon, everybody. You are watching the Patriot Preaches. My name is Ashwell. I'm back at my setup. And as you can see, the green screen is not working. It's literally like just edging out my hair. I don't know what's happening, so I've got to get this episode out. So I'm just gonna stream. But just bear with the inconsistencies of the green screen. But we're gonna be recapping the summit. I'm back from my little 2 day vacation. A little more in-depth summary of the summit, and then we're gonna get into the news today. We have a couple of stories. We have two stories involving Ukraine, which are developing currently. So the first story we're gonna be talking about. Let's see, where to go? Okay, so we're gonna be talking about the summit, taking a deeper look at what happened. So Putin wanted to engage directly with the U.S. to bypass Kyiv and European leaders in negotiations, trying to secure a deal or understanding without Ukrainian participation. Right, which is why the summit was held in Alaska. And this is geographically close to Russia, aiming to show that Russia is no longer isolated by the West and wanting to assert themselves as a major power in global diplomacy. Right. And if we were to take a look at Trump's perspective, he was going into this meeting aiming to position himself as a successful mediator who could help end the war. He wanted to demonstrate diplomatic progression, intended to showcase that the United States was engaged in making headway diplomatically, but we can conclude that that was not the case. He was also making very vague statements, running in circles, and it almost seemed as if he was milking time and running the clock. Obviously, there was no breakthrough in Ukraine, right? The summit was highly anticipated as an opportunity to reach a ceasefire deal in Russia and Ukraine's big war, but no deal was actually made, right? Trump and Putin described the discussions as productive, yet explicitly stated that significant disagreements still remain and no truce was achieved. Now let's take a look at the disagreement specifically. For starters, a key point was Russia's insisted that the U.S. and its allies recognize Russian sovereignty over the Ukrainian regions of Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhia. Zaporizhia. I think I'm saying that right. I don't think I'm saying it right. And Kherson, basically giving importance and favorability towards Ukraine. The reason being is that they both consider them illegal annexations. And the reason being is because of invalid referendums, right, and coercion within legal frameworks such as the Fourth Geneva Convention and the Hague Convention. Dictate that any change in territorial status must be free from physical or moral coercion. Reports of Russian soldiers bribing or threatening locals to secure pro-annexation votes undermine the legitimacy of any referendums held by Russia in occupied regions. The reason the southeast of Ukraine is so sought after is because Putin believes it will drastically help Russia's economy. Having control of lithium deposits in the Donbass gives Russia a monopoly on the world market. Essentially, what this means is that a situation where a single company or entity has an exclusive control over the supply of a particular product or service in the global marketplace. Right, and if we were to look back at the past, Russia has also broken the Budapest Memorandum in 1994, committing to respecting Ukraine's borders and sovereignty, ratifying a 2003 border treaty with Ukraine. And this clearly portrays Russia's annexations as undermining international commitments because of their desire to maintain major influence in the region. And if you've noticed, it was only Putin and Trump present. Zelensky was not there, right? Putin demanded lasting peace, required NATO's influence to neutralize Ukraine, and the Russian attacks on the Ukrainian civilian targets continued even while the summit was underway. There was an apprehension that direct talks excluded Ukrainian representation and could signal a shift in American policy, through no explicit change emerged. It was not a diplomatic victory. It was very stagnant, very vague, very just repetitive, very repetitive. It was just it was for the public. It was for optics, honestly. Right? They really didn't do anything in the summit. Nothing really happened. Right? So you may be asking, what are the next steps moving forward with these peace talks? Ideally, an international ceasefire coupled with international monitoring, and both sides agreed to halt military operations overseen by an international body, aka the UN or the OSCE, and having to withdraw forces from occupied territories except Crimea, with the future status of Crimea negotiated separately through more rounds of discussions. Right, Western sanctions on Russia are lifted in stages, tied directly to verifiable milestones. Withdrawal of troops, ceasefire, and human rights improvements. Economic cooperation resumes as trust is rebuilt. The U.S., Russia, and Ukraine hold a high-level summits to address ongoing issues and prevent future escalations regularly. And a standing diplomatic group ensures continued negotiations and crisis management. And this is the best possible situation, which is pretty unlikely, but it is possible. But it is just very slim. And if we were to take a look at Israel and Ukraine's relations, we're going to be tying this together a little bit. Um, Both countries recognized each other on May 11th, 1949, just a year after Israel declared its independence, as the Ukrainian SSR established de jure diplomatic relations on the 26th December 1991. Right. Israel also has an embassy located in Kyiv, and Ukraine has an embassy located in Tel Aviv, and a consulate general in Haifa. A consulate general is basically a subordinate to an embassy. And there are just about 30,000 Ukrainians settled in Israel, while Ukraine having one of the Europe's largest Jewish communities. And what does this say? This says that Ukraine and Israel are very similar. Basically, they are the same thing. They are the same thing. They are very similar. And they are two countries that we aid, but we get nothing in return. There's also another statement that we should all know by now, right? And we're gonna be getting into the recent story, right? Trump says he's willing to support European troops in Ukraine by air as a part of a potential security guarantee. Trump said on Tuesday that he may be willing to provide air support for European troops on the ground in Ukraine as a part of a potential security guarantee, an arrangement that would be unacceptable to Russia. Quote, when it comes to security, they're willing to put people on the ground, quote, Trump told Fox News, referring to European countries. Quote, we're willing to help them with things, especially probably if you talk about it by air, because no one has the kind of stuff we have. Really, they don't, quote. The president also assured that U.S. troops wouldn't be deployed to Ukraine a day earlier. He wouldn't rule out the idea of putting American boots on the ground in Ukraine. A group of European countries led by France and the UK, which calls itself the Coalition of the Willing, is pushing for an arrangement while they would deploy forces to Ukraine as a part of a potential peace deal. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer hosted a virtual meeting of the group on Tuesday. Right, and Starmer's office said in a press release in the meeting that the British leader outlined the coalition of the willing planning teams would meet with the U.S. counterpart in the coming days to further strengthen plans to deliver robust security guarantees and prepare for the deployment of a reassurance force if the hostilities ended. A day earlier, Russia restated its opposition to the idea. We reiterate our repeatedly expressed position that we deny any scenarios that envisage the deployment of a military contingent to Ukraine with the participation of NATO states, which could lead to an uncontrollable escalation of the conflict with unpredictable consequences. Right, and Axios also reported on Tuesday that Trump had agreed with the Europeans that they should provide Ukraine with NATO Article 5-like security guarantees without bringing Ukraine into the alliance, and that the Secretary of State Marco Rubio will lead the talks on potential security guarantees. Right, Axios also said that Putin told Trump during the Alaska summit that he was willing to discuss the principle of security guarantees for Ukraine and mentioned China as one of the potential guarantors. Putin also could have been referring to an arrangement included in a draft peace deal in April 2022, under which Ukraine would be a neutral state but would also receive security guarantees from several countries, including the US, Britain, China, and Russia. Although the deals weren't worked out, Russia's wanted a deal where all security guarantors would have to agree unanimously on any action, meaning any signatory would have a veto. Right? And this also comes to show that oil hegemony is very important because something else actually also happened today. There was a Ukrainian attack. Right, and this shows why we cannot sever with Israel, because if we do, we're in a dilemma, right? If we do, we're going to be vulnerable. The Middle East will have oil hegemony, and we will be left deserted with our backs against the wall, going up against China, Russia, and the whole Middle East, who we've been oppressing for the past like 40 years, 50 years, 100 years. Like, are you like, people don't get it. Yes, we should. We should economically and militarily. We cannot. Security wise, it's not going to be good for us. Morally, we need to though. But right, and another story is a Ukrainian attack on a Russian pipeline halts oil flow to Hungary. A Ukrainian attack on Druzhba pipeline caused a disruption in the oil flow to Hungary. Ukraine has again attacked petroleum pipeline to Hungary, resulting in the petroleum transportation to our country to halt. Another attack against our energy security is outrageous and unacceptable. Foreign Minister Peter Sajaro wrote on Facebook. Right, in March, a Ukrainian drone attack on the Druzhba pipeline caused it to shut down for a short time. Hungary reported that it is unclear when the flow of oil will be restored after Monday's attack. The oil flow to Slovakia was also halted. Sajarto directed his ire at NATO and Ukraine for the attack. Brussels and Kiev have been trying to push Hungary into the war in Ukraine for 3.5 years, and the increasing number of Ukrainian attacks against our energy security are aiming at this. He continued, so let's be clear again. This is not our war. It's none of our business. We want to stay out of it. As long as we are in power, we will stay out of it. He went on to threaten that Budapest could cut energy transfers to Kiev in response. Finally, a reminder for Ukrainian decision makers, electricity from Hungary plays a key role in Hungary's energy supply. His post concluded. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha responded by saying that the attack was justified because Budapest refuses to cut ties with Moscow. Peter, it is Russia, not Ukraine. Right? Who began this war and refused to end it. Hungary has been told for years that Moscow is an unreliable partner. Despite this, Hungary has made every effort to maintain its reliance on Russia. Right? So, the name of the game is oil, right? We're seeing this prevalent story time and time again. Everything is being fought over oil tankers, right? And the thing is, if we were to look at Vance, he is a Trojan horse, right? He's Project 2025's long-term goal, right? And he embodies the American evangelical psychopath that many right-wing men, right, relate to him with. But there's a weakness in him though, and he isn't that charismatic like Trump. He's not he cannot cultivate a cult. He cannot cultivate a group to ride or die with him. Right, like Nicholas J. Fuentes, like Donald Trump. JD Vance does not have that. JD Vance is like a robot. He's like an NPC. But he looks the part, but he's just not he's not charismatic enough. And it's likely those supporters, once Trump was out of the picture, in some form or another, would begin to turn on him. His entire purpose in the campaign and admin so far was to be Trump's obedient, moderate Republican lapdog, right? Designed to make Trump look very appealing to the moderate Republican, to the average Republican. Like the guys you see on Charlie Kirk's videos in the background, to those guys, the low IQ MAGA supporters, right? A lapdog cannot inspire the kind of loyalty that a man Trump can. Even if Trump is not a good person, even if he doesn't have the right ideas, you cannot deny his influence. You cannot deny his leadership. All right? So, I mean, people are looking at Gavin Newsom, but Gavin Newsom is also taking money for foreign entities. So it's like, people are getting confused, like Newsom for 2028. Can we really trust Newsom? I don't think we can. And that's the trap they get you in, right? The two-party political spectrum, the system. Every 4 years, election. People side with the red or the blue. I think we have to stop this. We have to not side with any side. And we have to side with ourselves. We have to side with the Americans. Not these billionaires, Silicon Valley, Palantir, tech companies, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. These guys don't care about us. They never did. Most of them aren't even American. Elon Musk, he wasn't even born here. I don't even look American, but I'm American, okay? I don't look American, but I'm American. I was born here. I'm Indian, but I'm American, okay? Ethnically, sure. You look at me, okay, I'm not your white guy. I'm not your average, white guy, okay? But I was born here. This is all I've ever known. Seriously, like I've never been to school outside of America, and we need people who are loyal to this country and care about the people and the country, the land, not for its benefits, but because they love the land. Without any benefit, even if there was no buildings, even if there were no jobs, we would stay here and we would build it up back up again. We would build it back up again, brick by brick. Those are the types of people we need running for president, not scums who shill for money. You need people who don't care about money, right? So I don't think we should vote 2028 unless we get somebody that's serious about this shit, who really does care about our people, about the Americans, black, white, Mexican, Asian. As long as you're American, as long as you love the country, even if you're an immigrant, as long as you love the country, by any means, we welcome you. We love you. Right? So we've gotta fix that, man. Seriously. Seriously, we've gotta fix that. And dude, I watched Challengers with Zendaya. Zendaya's kind of growing on me. I'm not gonna lie. I used to hate Zendaya, but after watching Challengers, I'm starting to understand the hype behind Zendaya. So it's such a weird movie though. It's so like chick coded, like the story, the plot. It's about two guys fighting for one girl. One girl's the bad boy. I mean, one guy's the bad boy who has access to her throughout the nice guy's relationship. And it just comes to show that red pill kind of is true. But you don't want to go too overboard like some of these guys. Some of these guys go too overboard with it. Just be a normal person, you'll be fine. But just have it in mind, like how they operate, their psychology, because when you see something wrong, you can capitalize on it. You can utilize your information, and you can take advantage for the better, not for right for good reasons only, for moral reasons. Do not use these pickup artist tactics like Zerka to be an asshole. Don't do that. I mean, I'm not gonna do that, but just be a good person. That's all it is. What other movie do I watch? Sing Street. Dude, I'm trying to fill up my letterbox. All right, my letterbox is amazing. My Goodreads, I'm working on that, but dude, my letterbox is insane, bro. Sing Street is such a good movie. You've got to watch it. If you haven't watched Sing Street, oh my god, it's like a classic. Sing Street is a classic. I swear to God. Like you have to. It's like a musical drama romance. It's so good, dude. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not weird. I'm not gonna spoil it. But if there's one thing you learned, go watch Sing Street, and do not vote if we do not get a worthy candidate. That's all you gotta know. So watch Sing Street. Um, Probably gonna end the live because my freaking green screen is so messed up. Yep, I've got to fix it. I'll be back tomorrow. Sorry for the super bad quality stream, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully.